This video is designed to talk you through settlements and some of the important locating factors that impact where settlements grow up. First definition obviously will be that of a settlement, and that is a place where people live. The site is the actual location where a settlement was built. So if we come down to this example here, the site of this settlement, number 2 here, would describe the factors which are important when choosing to locate the settlement here. Situation is slightly different. Situation is the surroundings a settlement is located in. So for example, in this example we discussed, number 2, the surroundings might be the river, other settlements which are found nearby, this hilly area, this main river, or this area of flat land, or this forest, so the surroundings that grow up around the area. In geography this year there will be 3 main sites that you need to know: number 1, number 2 and number 3. The first site is a defensive site. This is a site on a hilltop or in a meander that provided protection for a settlement. In this example here we have 3 possible defensive sites. Number 2, number 1 and number 5. The 2 best examples are number 5 and number 1. They are defensive sites. If we focus in on site number 5, you can see that it is on the edge of a hilltop. It's unlikely that attackers will come down from above, so they just have to defend on these main sides. Any attackers coming from any of this area here, the location of this settlement means that they will be easily seen and warning can be provided. Number 2 is a wet point site. This is a site which has a freshwater supply. So, for example, any of these settlements here has a river beside it. This one in the marshland has these small rivers running through it. So they would be wet point sites. If we think about wet point sites, historically water had to be fetched from a freshwater supply, so from a stream or from a spring. Nowadays, due to technology, we have water pipes which bring water into our houses. But back in these days, when settlements were first growing up, they had to be close to a water supply. Third one is a bridging point site, and this is where a site which grows up around an area where a river can easily be crossed. Site number 2 is probably the best example of a bridging point site. Although there are other examples on this diagram, including site 4, site 1, which both have bridging points across the rivers. And again, these were areas where trade tended to funnel through the settlements, which allowed the settlements to grow and rise in importance. Many of these siting factors are no longer important, basically due to the advances in technology that we have. For example, we can build structures that allow us to cross rivers at pretty much any point. We have technology that allow us to pipe water into our homes. Defensive sites are no longer really an important issue for settlements. One other definition that you will need to know is that of a settlement hierarchy. A settlement hierarchy is an arrangement of settlements in order of their size and importance. With regards to size, we are really talking about population. This diagram shows a settlement hierarchy. At the bottom of the diagram, at this level here, we have isolated buildings and farmsteads. As we move up through the settlement hierarchy, you can see the size of the settlements increase. So a hamlet will have a bigger population than an isolated farmstead. A village will have a higher population than a hamlet, a small town than a village, a large town than a small town, and so on as we move up to the cities. Conurbation cities are cities which have grown together, so they grew up side by side, but then they grow and merge as one. It's quite possible that Belfast and Lisburn will eventually become a conurbation city. They will merge. A primate city is normally a capital city, which is more than double the size of the next biggest city in a country. Belfast could be an example of a primate city. A couple of things that's worth noting about a settlement hierarchy. As we move up through the settlement hierarchy, the number of settlements decreases. It goes down. So, for example, if you think about the number of hamlets there will be in Northern Ireland, there will be many of them, so that's why the hamlet bar is so wide. If you think about the number of primate or capital cities, there's probably only going to be one, and therefore the number of settlements at each stage goes down as you move up through the hierarchy. Another thing that's worth pointing out, as you move up through the hierarchy, the population of the settlements increases as well.